Hi guys! So today we've got a very exciting craft to share with you all, and that is how to make your very own party chocolate bar wrappers. Let's jump in. So we're going to be using Canva to design this. I have got the pro account, but you can use a free one. They've got such an array of great elements and fonts and designs that you can use over there. The most important part of this project is going to be the cardstock that you choose to print on. I'm going to be using the Paper Cutz 115 GSM as it is thin enough to fold without creasing, and the print quality is fantastic. I'll drop a link in the description box down below. For measuring your chocolate bar, you're going to need a tape measure. A flexible one like this is perfect if you have it. For printing your actual design, I would strongly suggest a specialist software such as either Affinity Designer or Silhouette Studio. I'm going to be using Silhouette Studio today. You'll also need a full colour printer. I'm going to be using my trusty Canon IP8750. When it comes to cutting, if you don't have a cutting machine, I'll obviously be using my Silhouette, then you can use a ruler and a sharp blade. To secure your wrapper, you're going to need either a glue gun or double-sided tape. And most importantly, you're going to need some chocolate. So the first step is measuring up your chocolate bar so you know exactly what size to make your template in Canva. So first up, you need to very carefully unwrap your chocolate bar, especially if it's like one of these foil wrapped ones. Once the wrap is removed, we need to piece it back together very carefully. And now it's time to take some measurements. You need to decide exactly how much of your chocolate bar you want to be covered in the wrapper. So I think I'm going to go for 10 centimeters so we have a little bit of the foil peeking out. And then we also need to measure how much we need the wrapper to go round the chocolate bar, and make sure that we add on 1.5 centimeters for overlap. So I'm going to go 10 centimeters tall by 13.5 centimeters wide. Now the focus of your design will be on the front, so you also need to know how big you want that. And for me, that's 5 centimeters, obviously by the 10 centimeters. Now it's time to hop over to Canva. Okay, so using our measurements that we just took of the chocolate bar, we're going to create a custom sized document. I'm changing this to centimeters, and we want it 13.5 centimeters wide and 10 centimeters tall. So now that we have this document size, you can either create a design from scratch yourself, or if you go over to the design button at the top and search templates, then you can go for whatever theme you would like, but for invitations. These can easily be adjusted to create something completely unique. So I'm having a look through to see which one I like. Now this dinosaur theme is really cute. We are going to change the background though, as having that flat dark navy blue I'm not too keen on. So we're hopping back to elements and we are going for a cute galaxy. I'm going to graphics and having a look at what they have. I quite like this, but it needs to be rotated. So we're going to change that to 90 degrees, right click, set image as background. Now, if you remember, we made a measurement of the front of the chocolate bar. So I am now going to put a marker on so we can see exactly the area that we want to keep the design, the main design to. So I've added a rectangle, I'm turning on the outline and removing the color from the middle. And we need to have this 5 centimeters wide by 10 centimeters tall. And we're going to move this to the middle so we can now start working on our chocolate bar. So obviously this says Martin's 4th birthday. You can change this to whatever text you need. You may need to move the rectangle layer towards the back. You can do that by going to the layer section and just make sure it is above the background itself so you can still see it here. I am not too keen on this invite you to my space party, so we are going to change this to thank you. I like how it curves round, but it is far too small, so we're going to adjust that. And I'm also going to change the font as well. Canva has got so many different designs that you can look at. And now the curvature is slightly off where we have changed the font size. So head back over to effects, and on the curve option here, you can adjust how much you would like it curved. So we're going to move this slightly above the image and we're going to move it to the middle of the page. Go back to arrange. There we are. And to get this to stand out, I think I'm actually going to go for some more pops of colour. So I'm selecting each letter individually. And after all of that, I decided I didn't want the outline after all. So we're going to change this here. Thank you for coming to my party. So obviously we don't need these details here, so we can remove them. Just going to adjust this again because I think we could get away with having the letter spacing a little bit closer together so that we can have a bigger font. That obviously means that I need to adjust the curvature again. And we're actually going to move this image down so it's more in the middle of the page. Now, when you're working with this, any layers in front, although they look cool on the photos, you will need to adjust them. Otherwise, it will be difficult to add your own image. If you need to remove an image from a frame, right click and attach, and then we're going to delete. And obviously, if I was making these for a customer, I would have asked for a photo. So we are going to just search here for a photo that I could use. You would obviously upload your own. Okay, that's quite cute. So if you hover over the image itself, if it doesn't go in, it means that one of the other layers is in the way. So I'm going to hold Control and the right arrow, the right bracket to move that behind. And then if we double click, we can have a play around here. We're just going to move that in so it's perfect. And now obviously we're going to move this down into the middle of the text. We're going to select this and the two text above, and I'm going to use the vertical offset and just have a little play around. There we go. Now we're going to move this behind by going to layer and send backwards. And now we have this kind of orange squiggle here is in front. Now this looks quite cute, but I would like it to highlight this with the different colors. So the word party, I am going to change up the font again to match. Okay, now I am going to group all of this and just deselect that rectangle because obviously we don't need that. Group it, and then we're going to align it to the middle of the page. Ungroup, mess with this layer again so that we can move the photo, and then move that back one as well. Okay, so obviously if we were to add these dinosaurs here, they wouldn't all fit on, so we are going to shrink some of these down and just move them around so that we have the cute dinosaurs. Okay, now we're happy. We are going to delete that rectangle and we are going to download as a ping with a transparent background and open up Silhouette Studio. So we need to make sure that our page is all set up, and because we're printing on A4, I need to make sure that that is correct for the media size, and I'm also going to turn on the registration marks. In the registration mark window, we're enabling those, and I'm going to turn up the thickness but move the inset down. So now that we have this imported in from the download from Canva, I have noticed that it is slightly below what we wanted it to be. So we're going to create a rectangle. This is what's going to cut out. Remove this lock button here so we can free change the size. The width is going to be 13.5 and the height is going to be 10. Select this and the design and centrally align both of them, and I can see that this is ever so slightly too small, so I'm going to change this up to the lock goes back on, and we're going to edit this to 13.7, and that will ensure that when we cut everything there will be no white area showing, so it's going to look nice and professional. We're going to group that and we're going to fill our A4 page with these, making sure that we do not go over where the registration lines are on the page. I think we're only going to be able to fit 2 of these, which is a little bit disappointing, but Paper Cutz do offer this size and this finish in A3, so you would be able to purchase that and fit on possibly 5 to a page. So now we're going to head over to print this. We're going to select the printer that we're going to be using today. Go to Preferences, And I'm selecting photo printing, turning off borderless printing, making sure that the size is A4 and high quality. Your print settings may be completely different, but this is what works for me. So now it's time to print. So you can see how fantastic the colours on here are. They are really vibrant, but the GSM on the paper is thin enough that we can fold it around the chocolate bar without worrying about it tearing or creasing. So next up, we either need to cut these out by hand with a very sharp craft knife and a ruler going around the edges, or I'm going to use my Silhouette Cameo. So we now have our chocolate bar and our finished cut wrapper to go around it. So because obviously the edges of chocolate bars are usually curved, it's going to be very tricky to just measure and fold on these, so you will have to eyeball it a little bit. We want a nice tight seal at the back, but we also need to make sure that the design itself is in the middle. So once you're happy, you can just kind of lightly run your fingers just around the edge. Be gentle, chocolate's fragile, and we also don't want to melt it. And once we've got those, we can slide it off and then just fold it. I'm not using a creasing board. We don't need to go over the top for this one. We're going to do another check to make sure that I'm happy with everything before securing. And how smart does that look? So obviously you could use hot glue, but I prefer to use double-sided tape because I'm always paranoid that the hot glue is going to melt the chocolate. You want a strip that is almost as long as your wrapper. You want to apply it right to the edge there. Peel it off. And there we go. Now, before I do the big reveal, I want to ask a favour from you. Are you already subscribed to my channel? Have a look, and if you're not, click the subscribe button. Hit the like button if you've enjoyed it. This helps to support my channel. And again, if you know anybody that would enjoy my content, don't forget to share. So now, drum roll please. Let's have a look at the final finished product. We have got two very different styled birthday party chocolate Favours. These are perfect because you can customize them and match them to your party theme. You can even include a little message on the back. And if you don't want to include a photo, then Canva have got so many free elements that you can use instead. The possibilities are limitless. And I like the fact that you can take any plain chocolate bar and just transform it. And let's face it, it's going to work out a lot cheaper than having to spend a small fortune even on sweetie cones. And kids love these. Chibi Jr. has already been begging me for me to make some for her classmates. But that's not all. It doesn't stop with just party favours. What about some Valentine and Halloween ones? These, you may have realised, are made from little Kinder bars, which means that it's going to be really cost effective if you need to make up lots in bulk. And leaning back into our summer wedding vibe, if you're getting married or you know somebody that's getting married, then you know that wedding favours are so expensive. And the sad truth is that a lot of them are disposed of or just left behind at the end of the day. But who couldn't resist a chocolate bar? Having one of these for each of your guests, completely personalised with your wedding details and customised to fit your theme, is going to be a winner. Who could say no to this? I like the fact that you could also cater for dietary requirements such as dairy-free, but have them look exactly the same so that guests aren't going to feel singled out if they need something a little bit different. Just obviously need to make a note somewhere on it that it's a dairy-free option. So I'd like to say a great big huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors of this channel, Paper Cutz. As always, their high quality products have really helped to bring my designs to life, and I've really enjoyed making these chocolate bar wrappers today. If you're going to make your own, let me know by dropping a comment in the box down below, or share them with me over on Instagram at Chibi Designs. A big thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see you next week. See you then. Bye!